Good afternoon, everybody. We're here for a really important announcement about concerning our environment, brownfields in particular, workforce training and opportunity for the city and for individuals here in New Bedford. And we as a city have our focus on in creating opportunity for all of our residents. And that means they have to be given the tools they need to compete in a global economy. They have to have a city that is ready for investment in every facet of the city's 24 or so square miles. And we need to work collaboratively across levels of government, up and down, and across agencies. And so we're going to be talking about today is a really great example of that. I asked if Buddy Andre were here today because he played a big part in pushing for, as he does with everything, for pushing for opportunity for youth in our city, for people of color, and for just helping New Bedford make the most of its opportunities and its potential. So I want to, we also, I will just say, have a very close working relationship with the Environmental Protection Agency. New Bedford is a frequent flyer of sorts with the EPA. Not that we're proud of that, but the EPA has worked hand in glove with New Bedford to help us turn the corner on our industrial past. And I'm pleased to say that whether it's on work concerning stormwater, whether it's the cleanup of our harbor, whether it's work on brownfields, whether it's and many of the other projects that we work on with the Environmental Protection Agency, we've had a very strong working relationship. And so with all that, I wanted to invite up the newly minted Region 1 Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dennis Diesel, to come on up and offer an announcement today of a big award. You're late. Come on, you. You're the man of the hour.
It's my fault.
To offer his words, but also to he comes with a big announcement today for New Bedford that we're very proud of, and then we'll go into a little more detail afterward. But I've learned enough in my job that I didn't want to steal your thunder. And anybody who brings a check gets the podium. So, Dennis, we welcome you to New Bedford. We welcome you to the position, and we look forward to working with you. And we ask you to come on up and say a few words.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Mitchell and your staff for welcoming us today. As I was telling the mayor earlier, I consider myself a New Hampshire guy, but my mother's side of the family, my grandmother, came from Quebec to New Bedford back in the 1860s, and so I've got a couple generations on my mother's side who lived, I guess, on the north side.
Yeah, the north side.
Worked in the mills, and my grandparents got married in New Bedford, and sometime during the Depression moved up to New Hampshire. So, this is my first trip to New Bedford as regional administrator. I've been regional administrator for about 7 weeks, so I've got lots to learn. But I could say, personally, it's great to be part of the solution here in New Bedford. Today we are announcing a new grant that will make a difference to your community. I'd like to acknowledge the support EPA's work here has received from our congressional delegation. Congressman Keating and your two senators are all staunch supporters of EPA's brownfields and other cleanup work here in New Bedford. We are grateful for their support. We have a couple of EPA staff here today who have worked very hard throughout this year and this process to make our brownfield programs a national success. I'd like to always give a shout out to the EPA staff because one of my core kind of beliefs as a 20-year federal employee before this appointment was that I know that the federal staff are critical and an essential part of the work that is happening here. So I'd like to single out Dan Rodriguez Thank you, Dan, for your hard work on this grant award. I'd also like to introduce EPA's new Environmental Justice Coordinator here in New England, Marcus Holmes. Some of you, Marcus in the past has worked on the Parker Street response, an important part of what we do and how we do it. Again, EPA staff, very proud of the work they do and to work with them. EPA New England Brownfield program is successful because we have so much strong and committed partners, all working together to identify brownfield properties that can be redeveloped and returned to productive uses for our local communities. I'm very pleased to be here today to announce that the City of New Bedford will be receiving a $200,000 EPA Brownfields Environmental Workforce Development and Job Training Grant in 2020. This is one of 26 grants being announced nationally today. Being selected to receive one of these grants is no easy task. It's a very competitive national application process seeking EPA's limited funding. EPA is proud to support this valuable job training grant program, which can open the door to rewarding careers in the environmental field for people living in the shadows of brownfields in our communities. Since 1994, EPA has invested nearly $9 million in New England through the job training program, including nearly $4 million in Massachusetts communities. To date, EPA has funded 34 job training grants in New England since the beginning of the program in the 1990s. Thanks to this investment, over 1,100 New Englanders have obtained employment as environmental professionals. City leaders here in New Bedford have recognized for many years the opportunities from EPA's Brownfields programs. Of course, EPA is probably best known here for the $366 million cleanup of New Bedford Harbor, which was the mayor referenced. This work has made exceptional progress over the past several years. New Bedford was first awarded a Brownfields assessment grant 22 years ago in 1997. In 1998, the city also won its first job training grant. Since then, New Bedford has received nearly $4.5 million in grant and technical assistance for brownfields issues throughout the city. This new grant will bring EPA's total brownfields investment in the city up to $400.65 million, including $725,000 in job training grants. In Massachusetts to date, EPA's job training grantees have placed 414 graduates into employment at an average starting salary of over $16 per hour. These are skilled, well-paying jobs that can lead trainees into productive careers in environmental and construction trades. Under this grant, the city will be partnering with several organizations: the New Bedford Economic Development Council, Mass Hire Greater New Bedford Workforce Board, the Workplace, and Bristol Community College. Together, the City of New Bedford and these partners will provide training and assistance for graduates. The training opportunity will be targeted to residents of New Bedford. Providing workforce training here in the community means we are changing lives for the better, and we are developing more skilled workers to help on important projects moving forward. New Bedford is also what we refer to as an opportunity zone, so it is especially relevant that this Brownfields Job Training Grant is going to the city. Created by the Tax Cut and Job Act of 2017, opportunity zones present a significant opportunity to leverage public and private sector investments in ways that drive economic growth and support community revitalization. EPA's grant today is just one of more of the pieces of the puzzle in how we are proudly helping New Bedford create a robust and prosperous future. Now I'd like to invite Mayor Mitchell to join me, and we can take a photo as I present this check to you for this grant.
All right.
And I have a ginormous check here.
Yes.
Pocket size.
Everyone can just gather and be on the side.
Good?
All right.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
I want to take a couple more minutes to talk about the about the grant and the work that's being done. But one of the thoughts, I just wanted to express my appreciation to the agency and to you, Dennis, for your leadership on this. Brownfields, the public often hears about brownfields and often hears about the legacy of contamination and industrial parcels around the city, and it is the reason it's significant is that as we try to develop sites, developers are often scared away by the prospect of absorbing the liability associated with cleaning up the property, any given property, and so that makes it more expensive to for that property to be turned around into productive use. And so the Brownfields Grant Program is a very important one in helping developers close the financing gap to allow for investors to come in, put money into a site productively, create jobs, and create opportunity. Therefore, I had a year and a half ago, I had the privilege of testifying before the House Natural Resources Committee on Brownfields reauthorization, and it stands out. That bill stands out as one of the few big bills that got out of Congress in the last few years. There's widespread bipartisan support. There was for on the part of Republicans to encourage as a means of encouraging investment, on the part of Democrats to ensure equity in many urban places, access to jobs and so forth. And so Congress, believe it or not, got it done. Bill Keating, our congressman, who's represented by Ian Trombley today, from his staff, was one of those supporters. And it was nice to testify before Congress and on a matter that was well received. so here we are today. There are lots of champions for this, so I just wanted to recognize a few. I want to start with my friend Buddy Andrade, who has devoted his life really to throwing open the doors of opportunity to folks in our city. Buddy had put his sweat, his energy, and his devotion to, in a very sophisticated way, figuring out how federal and state dollars can open up those doors, and then being a tireless advocate. So I just wanted to ask him to come on up and say a few words. Buddy.
Thank you. Well, it's a long road, and I call him John, even though he's the mayor, but I call him John out of respect. So I would see John at a couple of press conferences, and I would say, John, that application's out again. He would say, go get the guys, call the guys up and all that, and I would call the guys. Well, finally, your guys have finally done it, and we've got the money. I want to start by thanking Gloria Williams, the former director of Youth Bill. I want to thank Louis Rodriguez, my board member and president of our board and president of the Latino Coalition, my sister Sandra, who got me to the meetings, even this morning, this afternoon rather, to make sure that they're on time and get the things done. But we met for a long time. We started this process with Matt Morrissey, and I'm missing the gentleman's name from EPA that hosted a meeting with us in Boston. He's since retired. I just can't remember his name. I feel embarrassed. Okay, but he was very important in keeping us in the loop. Ms. Lombard as well. But I also want to give a good shout out to the administrator here. Thank you. But I also want to give a shout out to Ms. Alexandra Dunn, the administrator, who actually came and worked with us to help us put on a couple of the workshops surrounding brownfields and brownfields job development. And those workshops helped get the community engaged in what we were trying to do, and particularly our partners from Bristol Community College. And I can't also forget to mention Paul Vigents and Derek Santos, Matt Morrissey, all these folks. But the yeoman's work was done by Michelle Paul, and I want to make sure. And our partners over at the Mass Hire, Mr. Daniels is also here. So we've got a lot of work to do yet. to get all the employers in line. And of course, the biggest task is recruiting the best that we can to make sure that we have a very successful program. But also, as I said yesterday to a couple of people, we got to start thinking about the next grant. How do we make this work, and how do we come back with something better and really impact our neighborhoods and impact the economic development that we're trying to do on our harbor. And also a big shout out to Ed Washburn for the work that he has done as well. That's going to be a focus, is the New Bedford Harbor, the economic zone, the empowerment zones, that kind of stuff. And I think we can do it. It's going to be a lot of work, and I just hope that everybody has patience with me as we go forward into this next phase. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to call up next the city's Director of Resilience and Economic Stewardship, Michelle Paul, who, and Buddy's right, she did yeoman's work on this and many other things, and she's well known, right, Doug, at EPA for the great work that she does, and we're proud that she's our Director of Resilience. I just want to ask her to come on up and say a few words about the grant and the program. Michelle.
Well, that was a little bit of a surprise, but
It says your name right there.
I didn't get that. But anyway, it's definitely, it has been an effort brought about by everybody. It's definitely a team effort. Education is not my training and not my forte, so I really, depend on the folks over at BCC and Mass Hire to get me the information, to pull New Bedford's really great story together to get this grant. We'll be working with the folks over at PACA. Maybe they will provide us some educational training space and be able to work with partners really throughout the city to make sure that all of the different projects that are going on and that are going to go on in green energy, renewable energy, brownfields redevelopment, waterfront revitalization, all of those things are going to require people with the skills that this grant will provide for. So it's really satisfying to be able to not only clean up a brownfield site, but to be able to do it and have the neighborhoods that have been so affected really participate in a very real way in the process.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And again, a couple of really key partners here, and I just wanted to offer them a couple of minutes to weigh in. The first is Bristol Community College, represented by Jen Marnard today and Paul Vigent, who are spearheading America's first offshore wind training center. There may be other claimants to that throne, but we know the BCC is in the lead, right, Jen? But their work there, I think, really dovetails well with this work and this grant on brownfields, and it's all of a piece. And I just want to say thank you to your boss, Laura Douglas, but also, to the work that you've done, Jen, and ask you to come on up and say a few words about BCC.
First, I want to thank the EPA. This funding is so critical to New Bedford and the workforce here. We're very excited to be a part of this partnership and to be able to provide the workforce development piece. Thank you to the mayor as well, and Michelle Plott, who says it's a team, but she did all of the work and brought us together. That was a lie, Michelle just saying. And of course, Buddy Andrade, the really critical leadership that he has in this community to bring us all together, to bring this kind of a grant, to really impact workers that can get into this field. It's really important for us to not just think about folks coming from different countries and how we're going to bring the workforce together, but about really training people here. Homegrown talent is really critical. So thank you so much, and Bristol Community College really appreciates to be a part of the team. Thank you.
So workforce training is about figuring out which jobs are going to be out there by the time people go through the training, and aligning that training with the needs of those jobs and pulling people in, right, Buddy, into those programs. And so, at the center of all of that work is the Career Center, which is run by Mass Hire, and Jim Daniels runs that program very skillfully. And I just want to thank him for his support for this, but ask him to come on up and say a few words. Go ahead. I put you on the spot.
Thank you so much.
Just standing right there, Jim.
I know.
Feel slighted.
I'm here representing Jim Oliveira for the Workforce Board. He is proud to be a partner, and Mass Hire Greater New Bedford Career Center, we're also just thrilled, and we're both honored and proud to be a part of this, and we're proud and thank you just to be a part to all these wonderful people, and I'm just in awe of all of them. But that this is a good project, and that we're happy to be a part of the recruitment part and working with the city and working with Bristol Community College, who we always work with Buddy and Michelle, all of them. It's been a great, and the EPA. Thank you so much, and it's an honor for the Workforce Board and the Career Center to be involved in this project. Thank you.
All right, that's good. All right. I think we hit the high points. I think we got it all in. If there any, you guys have any questions? Josh, nothing put you on the spot. All right, this is a terrific announcement, and we look forward to the work ahead. There's a lot of work, but you know, as people know, we've got a great team here, and they're going to make it happen. So thanks, everybody.